we are all having a common responsibility. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama used to say that we all have a universal responsibility. If we are able to realize that responsibility and perform by each one of us, I think the world would be a better place for all sentient beings.
Driving out through the windmills, some of them were still. Sometimes it's hard to catch the wind and bend it to your will.
That's David Crosby, and he's been bending it to his will for decades with his music and messages of peaceful resistance, tonight being no exception. On the eve before the Dalai Lama is to receive the Congressional Gold Medal, prominent musicians such as he and spiritual leaders have come together at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. to participate in a Pray for Peace concert inspired by His Holiness. Crosby seems to be popping up more frequently these days where the Dalai Lama and Tibet are concerned, and I'm curious about that. So with the wind kicking up behind the cathedral, he and I sit down together at a picnic table to talk about his connection to Tibet.
Break me down like sand from a stone. Maybe I'll be whole again one day.
It's been almost 10 years you were involved in a concert. I was reading about a Tibet Freedom Concert, and you came as a researcher.
And I wound up singing, yeah.
And you're here now to participate in the Pray for Peace concert, and I'm wondering how it relates specifically to the Tibetan cause.
The Tibetan religion and the Tibetan culture is an ancient one, and it's very, 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 very beautiful. And it has great value. It has tremendous gifts for humanity in it. I have always been drawn to it. I'm very drawn to Buddhism, and I'm very drawn to Tibetan Buddhism, and I'm very drawn to the Tibetan people, and I can't help loving them. I love how they feel and how they think and what matters to them. And I don't want to see those things disappear from the world just because China's greed decided to wipe them out. I don't want that to happen.
Did this spark or this inspiration arise during that time in 1998? Was that your first kind of encounter?
No. I started noticing Tibetan things, Tibetan bells. I fell in love with many, many years ago because I'm a musician, and it's just a natural thing. And then you start reading about Tibet, and then you fall in love with it. It's just really nothing else you can do but fall in love with them. They're the sweetest people, and they have a tremendously beautiful religion.
So it came from cultural identification to a more spiritual identification, and also it sounds like it's almost intertwined.
Both. You can fall in love with the Tibetan people just by looking at a picture of Tibetan children. You can, if you see a picture of a group of Tibetans, they'll all be smiling at you, and they'll all have this open, kind of undefended, kind of the world makes sense to me look on their face. And you have to treasure that when you find it. It's pretty rare in the human race.
Is it possible, really, to affect humanity, habits, through activism by way of music?
I don't measure it by success. Trying to aid the Tibetan cause is something that my heart wants to do, whether anybody notices or not, and whether even it has any effect in this time and in this place. It wouldn't change how I feel about it at all. If I knew that Tibetan was going to be wiped off the face of the earth and all the Tibetans were going to be killed tomorrow, I wouldn't change a single thing that I'm doing. Because it's, as wonderful as they are, it's not even about the people. It's about something deeper and more important to the human race. We can't lose this. It's too good.
You're talking about Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism.
Yeah, I'm talking about Tibetan Buddhism.
Have you ever heard His Holiness say that Tibetan Buddhism is Tibet's greatest export?
I think I have heard him say that. And it's a great truth. He's just joking, but he's also serious. The ideas are the most powerful things on the planet. Trust me. Ideas are more powerful than anything else. And the idea of compassion and the ideas that Tibetan Buddhism celebrates and is built on are the right stuff. They're the right things for humanity. They're what we need. We need compassion. We need intelligence. We need to revere our old people. We need to learn everything we can out of the Tibetan religion and treasure it, nurture it, and make it spread. I think the Chinese government is one of the most inhumane, obscene, power-happy group. I can't even talk about it without getting, really angry. I think it's amazing that we've even managed to get this government to give the Dalai Lama a medal, because this government doesn't care about Tibet or the Dalai Lama at all. Not one bit. This government cares about money. And China is money. And that's what it's all about. And so that they're willing to even acknowledge that he exists is amazing to me, because they really... It sounds corny to say it, but our government is in the hands of evil. Evil people. Evil is when you know what the right thing is and you do the wrong thing on purpose. That's evil. And we got it here. Lots of it. And I'm just amazed that he can come here and blaze so brightly that they have to, that the people force them to recognize him. Because he is a great force.
So I assume you've met him.
Several times. I had an amazing experience that started my relationship with him here. I was in a hotel, the Park Hyatt, and I came down for breakfast, and there were some Secret Service people there, and I said, "Who are you here to protect?" And they said, "The Dalai Lama." And I said, "Oh, wonderful, he's here?" And they said, "Yeah." And I went to breakfast, and I came back, and now there's 4 of them there, and I said, "Let's see, there were 2, now there's 4, he's coming down, huh?" And they said, "What do you want to know for?" And I said, I just want to stand over here. I'll be very good. I'll be quiet as a mouse. Please, can I just see him? And they said, "Okay, you stand over there. You be very good. Quiet as a mouse. We'll let you see him." And he comes down in the elevator, and there's the Dalai Lama, and there's the State Department, and there's the Secret Service and Park Police, and just a dozen people trailing behind him. And he's walking down the corridor towards me, and I'm standing against the wall, kind of like trying to pretend I'm not there. And he looks up, and he catches my eye, and he comes over, and he takes my hand, and he goes...
At that moment, David Crosby takes my own hand and looks me in the eyes. For a second, I forget I'm the reporter with the headphones on.
And then he smiles at me, and he lets go of my hand and walks away, and I start crying. Burst into tears. It's never happened to me before in my life. I'm almost doing it now, just thinking about it. It was amazing. He's an amazing human being. He's a very clean human being. He's not carrying any luggage. This man is traveling light. He's not carrying any anger. He doesn't want anything. He's not afraid of anything. Nothing. Not death, not China, not anything. You gotta love him. You have to love him. He's a really good human being.
Somewhere between heaven and hell, the soul knows where it's been. I want to feel my spirit lifted up
hold on to this idea. Ideas are the most powerful thing on the planet, not guns. Ideas. And the Dalai Lama has a bunch of really good ideas. People of good conscience all over the world treasure this man and treasure this religion and treasure this teaching. All over the world. There's people like us everywhere. And we aren't maybe the majority, but we are all everywhere. And he's speaking to us, very clearly.
What would you like to see come out of all of this?
With regards to China, I would like to see the United States gain the courage and honesty to tell China to screw off, to shut them off. Stop buying. I don't need that plastic toy. I don't need that cheaper dish. I don't need that little doodad with the poison in the colors. Whatever it is they're selling, don't buy it. No trade with China.
It's a turbulent time right now, but after over 30 years of being an outspoken activist musician, I wonder if David Crosby thinks that there's actually a positive change in the world despite all the war and conflict going on.
I'd love to tell you yes, but it's not true. Things aren't going well. And that disturbs me just as much as it disturbs you. But there really is nothing else we can do except have hope and believe and be the best human beings we can be. And what else is there to do? Maybe we won't triumph. Maybe compassion won't rule the world. There's no reason for us to put our paws in the air and roll over on our back and give up. I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that.
Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh. And know they love you. And you of tender years can't know the fears that your elders grew by, and so please help them with your youth. They see the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well, their children's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh.